Before we can understand the trillion-dollar trade wars or the blockade of Taiwan, we have to understand the object itself. We have to answer a simple question. How does a rock think? Because that is what the microchip is. It is a slice of silicon, which is essentially purified sand that we have tricked into doing mathematics. To understand this, we need to break it down into three specific layers: the material, silicon, the switch, the transistor, the scale, nanometers. Let's start with the material. Why do we use silicon? Why not copper? Why not plastic? The answer lies in the name, semiconductor. Most materials fall into two camps. Conductors, like copper wire, let electricity flow freely. They are like an open highway. Insulators, like rubber or glass, stop electricity completely. They are a brick wall. Silicon is special because it sits in the middle. Pure silicon acts like an insulator. It stops electricity, but if you inject a tiny amount of another element into it, it's a process called doping, you can change its behavior. By doping silicon, we turn it into a material that can choose whether conduct electricity or stop it. This ability to switch back and forth to be a conductor 1 second and an insulator the next is the heartbeat of modern computing. It allows us to control the flow of electrons. And that brings us to the most important invention of the 20th century, the transistor. If you take one thing away from this episode, let it be this. A computer chip is just a collection of switches. Billions and billions of tiny on-off switches. We call this switch a transistor. The best way to visualize a transistor is to imagine a water faucet in your kitchen. A faucet has three parts. The pipe where water comes in, we call this the source. The sink where water goes out, we call this the drain. The handle that you turn, we call this the gate. A transistor works exactly the same way, but instead of water, it controls electrons. When you apply tiny electrical voltage to the gate, the handle, the channel opens, and electrons flow from the source to the drain. The current is flowing. We call this on, or a 1. When you remove the voltage from the gate, the channel closes. The electrons stop, the current is blocked. We call this off, or a 0. That is it. That is the entire magic trick. A1 is water flowing, A0 is water stopped. By combining these ones and zeros, we can represent any number, any letter, or any pixel on your screen. Now, a single switch isn't very smart. It can also say yes or no, but if you connect two switches, you can do logic. If you connect 1,000 switches, you can do basic math. If you connect 100 billion switches, you can get a modern CPU that can run artificial intelligence. This brings us to the economic engine of the industry, Moore's Law. Gordon Moore, a co-founder of Intel, predicted in 1965 that the number of transistors we could fit on a chip would double every 2 years. For 50 years, this held true. We just kept making the faucet smaller. We went from transistors the size of a fingerprint to the size of a freckle, to the size of a red blood cell, to the size of a virus. Today, the transistors in your phone are measured in nanometers. To give you a sense of scale, a human hair is about 80,000 to 100,000 nanometers wide. The most advanced transistors today are 3 nanometers wide. We are building structures that are only a few dozen atoms across. But there is a problem. When you make a water faucet that small, the physics start to break. At 3 nanometers, the wall of the pipe are so thin that electrons don't just flow through the pipe, they sometimes teleport to the walls. Physicists call this quantum tunneling. Engineers call it leakage. Whatever you call it, it means the switch stops working perfectly. It generates heat, it wastes power, it becomes unstable. To keep shrinking the transistor, we can't just build it smaller anymore. We need machines that are so precise, so expensive, and so complex that only one company on Earth knows how to build them. And that is where the physics ends and the engineering war begins. Welcome back to Listen to Learn. This is the Modern Security Blueprint, episode 10. If you have been with us since episode 1, we have covered a lot of ground. We talked about how the internet works in the networking episodes. We broke down the mathematics of cryptography. We looked at the mechanics of malware and most recently the architecture of cloud security. But today we stop looking at tools. Today we stop looking at software. Today we look at you. The biggest vulnerability in any system is rarely a firewall configuration or a software bug. It is the mindset of the people operating it. So for this final episode of the series, we are going to synthesize everything we have learned into a single practical operating system for your daily life. We are calling this the modern security mindset. Let's begin. To build a security mindset, we have to go back to the very beginning. We need to define what security actually means. In the industry, we don't just say secure. We use a model called CIA Triad. CIA. This stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Let's break these down, one by one, because most people only focus on the first one. Point one, confidentiality. Confidentiality is what most people think of as security. It simply means secrets stay secret. If I send you a message, only you should read it. If a hacker steals your password, confidentiality is broken. This is about privacy and access control. Point 2, integrity. Integrity is different. Integrity means the data has not been changed. Imagine you send a bank transfer for $100. If a hacker intercepts that signal and changes it to $1,000, they haven't stolen your data, they have altered it. That is a failure of integrity. Point 3, availability. And finally, and this is the one people forget, availability. Availability simply means the system works when you need it. Think about ransomware. When a hacker encrypts your hard drive, they aren't necessarily stealing your data. They are denying you access to it. They are attacking I forgot the text. We're gonna stop right now. I'll see you in the next episode. See you.